Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to the second episode of what I call now the software chat, where I casually pick a question from your comment section and I discuss it in a video. And in the process, I kind of go everywhere around this question, right? So it's like a very casual chat, around 10 to 20 minutes, right? And today's question is copy and paste code bad? Is that even a sentence? Is copying and pasting code bad, right? That's kind of the discussion of today, right? I might go into other topics in the same area as well as we go. Who knows how these videos end up. So here's the thing. I'm going to go ahead and read the question for you guys. So, hi Hussein, your background story on YouTube inspired me to continue coding. This is the video I put my story, how I started 15 years ago and all that stuff, right? Continue to do the great work. Thank you so much. I need some advice. I can copy and paste tutorial codes, but I can't write my own codes. I think a lot of people suffer from this. I think I watched some videos, not even watched, I saw some thumbnails, and it's like escaping the tutorial hill, right? How to escape the tutorial hill. I think that's could be the same topic. So, do you know how to overcome this huge wall? I cannot write my own code. I can copy and paste code, but I cannot write my own, right? Any advice on how to get a better programmer? I sure have an advice or two. So, how about we get that? So, I'd like to pick on this first, right? Copying and pasting code is not generally bad all the time. Yes, you might not what you probably wasn't expecting that, huh? Right? Because expert programmers to this day copy and paste code all the time, right? Because I'll tell you why. Because if it depends what you're copying and pasting first and how much are you copying and pasting. You're not pasting the whole application. You cannot find your whole application anyway to copying and paste it, the one in your mind. But if you're copying certain snippet, a function, a library that actually does a job, then yeah, everybody's copying and pasting code, guys, right? Just don't think that everybody's perfect and they have everything in their brain and they know everything. No. Just the other day, I copied a function that does a GUID. Because guess what? I don't know how to build a function that does a GUID on JavaScript. By the way, guys, if there is a function that exists today built in, I'd love to use it. But I searched for Stack Exchange, and there's someone who's generous that pasted a code. I fully credited him, obviously, right? And then I copied and pasted the function that generated GUID because I have still 99.9% of the actual application to write. I do not care, and I don't want to spend the time to write a function that generates a GUID or a UUID. Okay, not generate a GUID. Okay. Global Universal Identifier or Universal Identifier. These things, right, guys? The 64-bit, whatever. I forgot even how many bits are there. So yeah, you don't necessarily want to copy the whole application. Obviously, guys, or you're copying part of it. Need to charge that. I need to charge this puppy, otherwise this stream will die. All right. So that's the first thing. Get out of the way. Copying and pasting code is not generally bad. It depends what are you copying and whether you understand what is it doing, okay? Copying and pasting an entire section, almost like an app, that's probably a bad idea. Don't do that. Because if you're copying and pasting code, then there's no soul in your application. If you can write everything by yourself, that's the best thing. But not everybody can do that because you don't want to reinvent the wheel for every single piece of your application. That's why open source exists. There are open source code. How do you think people do with open source? They copy and paste open source code in their in their application and use it. They reference it, or they even use it as a whole thing, right? Because that's what exists. You cannot possibly be a master of all trades, right? You have to be kind of, something, and there are other areas where you need to borrow from your fellow software engineers. This is the sharing of pooling of ideas. Now, copying and pasting the whole application or a full tutorial, and even, I'm not saying the fact of Control C and Control V or Command C or Command V. No, I'm not talking about just that. Actually writing it is the same thing. It's copying and pasting, because when you're following a tutorial, it's a good idea to actually follow the tutorial and see how one person does this thing. Brad Traversy have his own style of writing, right? And he is very well known for that. If you're just following the same tutorial and just writing his own style and kind of doing it the same thing, then you're kind of copying Brad's style. If you're following one of my tutorials, then you're copying my style. Every programmer has a unique style, and you gotta find your style. How, Hussein? How do I find my own style? What magic words are you throwing at me, right? How do I find my own style, right? First of all, as you start copying and pasting code or just writing code, you will magically get your application to work, and that feels amazing. That feels great, but you're still using some other people's code. So here's what I do when I follow a new tutorial. When was the last time I read a tutorial? Redis, right? Redis, JavaScript, Node.js, right? So Redis. So I followed Brad's tutorial, and I started following exact his steps. And then I said, oh, wait a second. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to use a normal function, right? Start with the smallest thing. I'm not going to name this variable connection. I'm going to call it pointer connection, PCON, right? Start with a small thing. Change your own variables. It's almost nothing, but you're adding your own sprinkle of spices into your own application. It becomes your own. I don't want to use a function. I want to use an arrow function because I'm fancy. Because we're fancy like that. We use an arrow function. So I use an arrow function instead of this. Okay, that's another thing. I noticed Brad that he's opening and closing the connection in the same function. I don't want to do that because that could be expensive. So how about I leave the connection persistent and open, and I'm going to use it over and over again. So you start changing the code to reflect you and make sure it doesn't break. And with every change that you make it your own, and then you run it. And if it works, you get that beautiful feeling, right? It's just like, woo, right? It's like really good feeling that you made a code that you own. And then you start changing. And then until the tutorial is basically completely different than the original one. You start changing things. Never get afraid of changing code. Change it. And if it breaks, just revert to the original one. Start changing, playing with it. Okay? And then then make it your own. And then, obviously, you cannot do what I'm talking about if you don't understand how the language works, how the fundamentals work. If I followed, let's take React. I don't know anything about React. I know zero things about React, right? I'm very bad at React. I don't know anything. I know that's about components and pretty much it, right? So if I want to learn React, right? I'll follow Brad's tutorial, and guess what? I cannot do anything. because I don't know anything about React to actually change it to make it my own, right? So I don't know the fundamentals of React to make it my own code. And that's another problem that people run into, right? So I'm trying to put myself into your shoes, guys, right? Because yeah, definitely if I run to React, I'm gonna have the same problem. So what do I do? What do I do? Well, learn the dang fundamentals, guys, right? Don't watch tutorials. What is React? What is a class? What is a component? I'm making things up now, but yeah, learn the components. And that's why I'm a little bit hesitant to go to React, because I'm afraid. I don't know anything about React. I know JavaScript. I know a little bit of CSS, and I know HTML. These are the fundamentals to me. These are the actual unbreakable atomic of the web. JavaScript, CSS, HTML. And that's it. And web servers, and especially in the backend anyway. So for my frontend, I only know these three things, and I know these are the fundamentals. And I know there are the use case that people make that for React, that it's a great thing. Obviously, saves you huge amount of time, and I don't disagree with that. But yeah, I just don't have the bandwidth to learn it, and I didn't build a huge front-end application that needed me to actually learn React yet. Maybe there will become a day, but this day, I don't think I need to learn React. That's just personal. Don't get defensive. I know people get very defensive with React, but yeah. Or any framework out there, right? Just frameworks is just built to thing. But it comes back to my point where if you're trying to build an application, you really need to stand on the giants' shoulders, where the Facebooks and the Googles who built them. What's it called? The React, and then what's the other framework for that? Angular. Yeah, Angular and Vue. So people faced problems and they built these technologies for a reason, right? So I personally didn't run into these problems yet, because I'm spend most of the time on the back end, and on the front end, if I want to write an application, I will write a small, ugly HTML5 and JavaScript, and that's it, and a little bit CSS. I just started learning CSS recently, because I still do this equal style and add everything in the style. I know I'm a very bad front end, guys, but yeah, so that's the idea, guys, right? Just you need to learn the fundamentals of what you're building. And that comes back to the question, do you really need to learn this thing? What are you trying to build? Does it require learning this fundamental? I don't know. Maybe no, maybe yes. Yeah. So that's come with the fundamental, right? So we talked about a little bit of front end, these frameworks. This is which is a huge topic right now. It's very popular, right? And if you want to learn about this topic, obviously Brad is your guy, and then other frameworks, Ben Awad, and then Web Dev Simplified. I was any front end stuffy. I'll always check them out. Yeah. The final point that I have here, I wrote, is a little bit cheesy, but write bad code, guys. It really helped me a lot. I wrote a lot of bad code in my life. When I was 16, here's how I learned how to code in Visual Basic 5. That's my first programming language for all of you guys back in 1997, 1998, I think. So when I first write programming language, the book, I think it's called Learn Visual Basic 2, and I had Visual Basic 5, so that was like a little bit of a problem, but I kind of, and he was building a clock, and dude, that was so awesome, because he's building not a just digital clock, he's an analog clock, so he's just showing us how to draw a circle and then draw a line showing that this is 12 o'clock and this is 3 p.m. and this line. So he spent a whole chapter teaching us drawing, and I took that and I started running with this. It was like, oh, I can draw. I can make the computer. iPhone decided to disconnect all of the sudden. resume back. So yeah, I took that module and I started drawing. Back to the tutorial stuff, right? So whoever teaching you how to do actually a tutorial, this is where the skill of teaching begins. Like if he or she teaching you the fundamentals, like Brad does, you will basically understand, because they're not just, hey, this is a code that does blah. No, this is how you write, how you draw a line from point A to point B. Obviously, you will have some mathematics skills that comes with that, but that's a general thing. So you start doing stuff that kind of reflects your personality, which is awesome, right? You want to do as much of that, and you want to write so many bad applications. And when I say bad, I'm saying bad. They do not perform at all. Write those. Write them. If you have an application that is slow, who cares? You built it. It's yours. So you're gonna continue and do it again. And that's what the problem with online communication. If someone pastes any code, people turn them a new one, for God's sake. It's just like, yeah, oh, your dad is slow, son. You gotta do this instead of that because that is very slow. You don't want to do that. Yeah, so I was like, why? Okay, yeah. It's just like, give the kid a break, for God's sake. Of course. There's always, yeah, so you wrote this code and you're so hyped and you're happy that, oh yeah, I wrote my own code for finally, right? But people just bring you down. It's just like, yeah. But it depends, right? Yeah. So obviously you can always improve. Every single piece of code there can be written better. I was thinking about pull request and GitHub and the carnage that goes there, man. If you have a pull request as an open source, if you own an open source and you see the trolling that goes on, oh my God, I don't envy people that own an open source, because you see bad people just for no reason making you feel bad for no reason at all, right? They will just pick up on something that, yeah, that might be true, right? They will go to line 1,000,003 and find that, oh, you forgot to initialize a variable and create a pull request to fix it. Okay, and says, oh, you forgot to initialize a variable, and that's bad. How dare you forget to initialize a variable, right? And then just make you feel bad in the pull request. And I've read so many of this, and it's like some people quit open source because of this, because of the carnage that happens out there. So it's like, people are generally good if you think about it, right? Back to this channel, right? 99.9% of the comments that I get are genuinely heartfelt and amazing. There's the 0.1% nasty ones, right? So there aren't any, and I feel bad for those 0.1, because like, if you have time to actually go and spread negative energy and you say, oh, this guy sucks, or this guy, why do you have time to do that? Seriously, what do you have going in your life that you will go and make someone else feel bad about themselves? Why? I don't understand it. I mean, just spread good energy on it. I'm not a kumbaya kind of a guy. I mean, I'm not walking with rainbows and happy all the time. No, obviously I'm feeling down. I'm feeling depressed right now with this stupid thing going in the world, right? Forces staying at home. You think I like to stay at home? No, I like to go out. I like to go to coffee shops and sit down and read and write code and write my poems. I'm a bad poet, but that's one hobby I like to do, writing poetry. So yeah, I like to do these things. I can't do them anymore, right? So people feel down all the time sometimes. So it's not everybody's happy all the time at 100%. So I don't like watching these people. It's like, oh, look at that, his life is so amazing, and that's so positive, and that's so happy, and we are the best, and always look at the sky, and the sky is blue, and I just can't believe it. No. Okay. All right. So this is a little bit this took a turn a little bit, right? We were talking about what? We were talking about, writing bad code, guys. You gotta write bad code in order to write good code. I know it's cheesy, but write a lot of bad code in order to write good ones, right? And here's the thing. If you write bad code, own it, guys. Own it. Know that your code is shitty, right? Don't think that you're good. Right? That's the problem. I have a problem with people that write bad code and they think that's good. That's bad. Don't do that. Write bad code and admit to yourself that, oh, I can do better. So you can go and do better because you'll be more open to receive criticism. I mean, good criticism, not the kind that you get on GitHub, right? I'm not saying all GitHub comments are bad, but most of them are, because it comes back to the book I wrote about in software engineering and how unempathetic are we, right? Because there's a lot of ways to solve a problem. Everyone has a unique style that they want to force on other people, their own ideas. And the moment you have their own idea, you feel creative, you feel good about yourself. And he's just like, no way, right? I'm not listening to you because my idea is good. Your ideas suck. Okay? So yeah, we need to do better than that. I am trying to do better than that. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I still feel defensive when people at work give me criticism on my own code, right? But depends on the person, really. Some people I love to get their opinion about, because they don't make you feel shitty afterwards, right? Because it's like, Hussein, that's good. I like how they compliment you on the good things you did. And then they say, oh, by the way, I think, and they say, I think. They don't say, no, you suck. This code bad. This code good. No, they say, well, I think if you switch this to an array, that might be more performant on the long run, instead of using. I'm just making shit up, but yeah, it's just like if you switch this to this structure, it'll be more performant because you don't need to do like a big O of n. You'll do a big O of 1, all that jazz. But yeah, guys, copying and pasting code and tutorial help, escaping it, not easy at all, not easy. I hope I give you some sort of a path you can take through that, but I don't know what's the answer to this. My only advice, keep writing code, guys. Write a lot of code. Write bad code. Write stinky code and make it better. And have the empathy to actually make it better. Just don't say, oh, yeah, feel good about it. Definitely feel good about your code, because it feels good for us engineers. If you write your own code and use your own spices on it, oh, damn, it feels good. I totally get what you're saying. Because and you know what feels even better? If someone else copied your code and used it. Oh my God, dude. It's like, yeah. It's like you're going to the prom. It's like, ooh, yeah. So, yeah, guys, I mean, I don't know if that helped, but we talked about a lot of things in this video. Definitely keep writing code and know what you're doing, I would say. I know this is a little bit weird, but understand why you are building whatever you're building. Why do you want to learn React Native, for example? Oh, so it's okay. I want to learn React Native because I want to get a job. If that's your answer, then I don't know what to tell you, because companies will always change their requirements for job requirements. So I don't think learning a technology to get a job is a good reason. If you have I know this is cheesy, but you have to know, you be passionate about what you're learning. So if you think native applications, genuinely think native applications better than React Native, probably just learn a native application, pick your own and dive with it. iOS, Swift. What's the Android new language? Cortana? Not Cortana, that's Microsoft. Kotlin. Cortana. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, know why you're building something before you actually learn it, right? Just don't, there's a lot of shiny stuff. I'm always tempted to learn shiny stuff. I always do in this channel, but I'm tasting. And what I'm doing here in this channel, I am a chef. I just taste every software engineering technology out there, right? Except for React. I'm just still scared to test React because it's just so intimidating for me, React, to be honest. I was just like, you know what? I'm sticking to just the basics, to be honest, right? If you know React, you just, yeah, I mean, kudos. You're really great. But yeah, there's a lot of languages that are, there's a lot of stuff that I'm tasting, and I'm very leaning to the back end, obviously. That's more my expertise. That's what I do on a daily basis at my job, right? Barely do anything at the front end. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. You guys stay safe and stay awesome. Goodbye.